Awesome, thank you. So thank you all for joining. We're still gonna let a couple more people in from the waiting room. It just became 4:01, so we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to Grad School 101. We'll be having a presentation tonight, so I'll be sharing my screen shortly. My name is Serena Hodge. I am the Assistant Director of Pre-Law and Pre-Grad Advising. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's see. Awesome. So tonight or this evening, we'll be talking about just all the components for graduate school, some considerations for graduate school, and then also some tools if you're not really sure what you want to go to graduate school for. So I do have a few people that are helping me present. So Jillian, if you just want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Jillian. I am currently a third-year grad student in the psychology department, specifically studying behavioral neuroscience.
Thank you, Jillian. Next, we will introduce Michaela.
Hi, everyone. I'm also a third year. I'm in the bioinformatics and computational biology PhD program.
Awesome. And then we also have Yolanda here with us as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yolanda, and I'm a second year studying clinical psychology, and I'm also at the Department of Psychology and Neuroscience.
Thank you, guys. So Jillian, Michaela, and Yolanda are all graduate advisors. Maybe some of you have met with them or myself this semester, and if you haven't, that's okay. I do have towards the end just how to make a pre-grad advising appointment. So myself, Jillian, Michaela, and Yolanda, we all assist with pre-grad advising appointments. Starting this semester, we have both exploration appointments or application support appointments. So we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. So one thing that you'll want to consider is graduate school the best path for me? So this is important that you discover your interests, your strengths, possible career matches before jumping into graduate school. And sometimes students do decide to take a gap year or a couple of gap years before going into graduate school to just make sure that graduate school is the best path for them. So one tool we'll look at is nccareers.org. So with this, hopefully it goes onto the screen and you guys are able to see that. So this is nccareers.org, and this is a free resource for you. You don't have to make a profile if you don't want to, because they will ask for your address. But if you're comfortable making a profile, you can definitely do so and save your results. If not, you can just screenshot your results and snip them. So one tool that I really like is Find My Interests. So with this tool, there's a few different self-assessments. My favorite one is Career Cluster Match. It really only takes like 12 to 15 minutes, and you'll want to just get started here. It's going to ask you like what activities that you like to do. So just being honest and authentic about yourself and what you truly enjoy doing. Just for time purposes, I'm just going to click a whole bunch of random things. Yeah, they ask you about a lot of various activities. So just clicking ones that you enjoy doing, not the ones that you do not enjoy doing. Then you'll be able to go to the next screen. It's going to ask you about your qualities. So this is to kind of get a sense of your personality. So again, you want to be authentic with this when answering about your personality traits. And so again, for time purposes, I'm just clicking a lot of random things. And then going on to your favorite subject. So maybe you haven't been able to take all of these subjects, but what subjects would interest you possibly taking in the future as well? So going through that and then show me my results. So it's going to take you to your matches. And a lot of these like interest finder, skills matcher, work values, they're going to also give you matches. This one I found to be just the most like encompassing tool. So it'll tell you your matches based on your personality and strengths and interests. So I know a lot of my matches are in education and training. I'll also know that maybe I should not be looking at like human services or manufacturing careers. So with this, it'll tell you different career pathways You can also just click the career cluster and explore occupations within that. So there's 71 occupations. It'll give you some helpful information here, such as what is the median salary, what kind of degree is typically required. So for coaches and scouts, for example, this is a fast growing field, tells you what the job entails, tells you what type of education is typically needed for this position. So this will give you a good sense of where your skills align, where your personality traits align, and also what kind of education you would need to obtain a role like this. It also helps you as you're job searching because you're able to kind of narrow down after you graduate what you're looking for on LinkedIn or Handshake or Indeed. So I do find this tool helpful, and it is free to utilize. So going back to the presentation, there is also the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics Occupational Outlook Handbook that'll talk about career paths as well. So this is another tool for you to explore. It'll tell you like the highest paying occupations, the fastest growing, most new jobs projected. So a lot of helpful information here that you can also explore. So this will tell you the entry-level education and salary as well. So these are two free tools for you to do a little bit more exploration before you go into graduate study. So going back to the presentation here, let me reshare my screen so it goes on to the next screen. Okay. So you also want to talk to people who are doing what you want to do. I know this can be a little bit intimidating, but these people are here to help you. So faculty, reaching out to alumni, individuals at companies you're interested in working for. Really, you can just send a quick message on LinkedIn, connect with an individual, let them know your interest in the company they're working for. Could you set up a 15 to 20-minute informational interview or just quick chat? The worst thing that the person can do is just not respond, but at least you try networking with individuals who are in career fields that you would like to get into. LinkedIn's also a very helpful research tool where you can see somebody's education. So if you're interested in a role, you can always search for alumni on UNC Chapel Hill's LinkedIn page and see what kind of education that individual has. So do they have a graduate degree? And then also a lot of graduate programs that are master level, they will have information sessions. So that's also helpful to attend and network with admissions representatives. So going on to the next slide. So this is Jillian's slide. So Jillian, if you want to go ahead, I'll just click all these and present on this slide.
Sure. Thanks, Serena. So, when you're deciding to go to graduate school, there are a bunch of things to consider and questions you can ask yourself really to help you narrow down what type of program and what you want to go to graduate school for. Questions you can ask yourself include like, what topic am I truly passionate about and what excites me? I know for me, one of the things that excited me was the fact that I got to study the brain, and it just is so cool to me that it encouraged my decision to go to graduate school. Something else like that we just mentioned was talking about, do you need a master's degree or a PhD to obtain that career that you want to pursue? This is a big discussion that we have in these advising appointments because some people don't know, and truthfully we don't know, but we can encourage you to do your own research and really try to find that out. And it could be a matter of, is graduate education even something that you want to pursue for the career that you intend to find at the end? And so all these questions are things that you can ask yourself that will help you narrow down your choices and will help you focus in on the specific topic of the program as well as the type of program. Yep, and you can advance to the next slide. Thank you. Okay, so one of the things that you could do following obtaining your bachelor's degree is taking a gap year, or you could take a few more than just 1 year. I personally took 2 years between my bachelor's degree and the start of my graduate education, mostly because the biggest thing that I put a little exclamation mark next to it, because it gives you that real world experience. It gives you that exposure to your intended career. No matter what field you decide to enter, you can get that firsthand exposure. You could take that mental break from academics if you'd like, because it is very hard to navigate being a student and then going to continue on to be a student following that. Work-life balance is one of those things that you can learn. I know someone personally who took a few years off to earn money to fund their graduate education. So it's definitely something that is advantageous to taking some gap years. A bunch of other pros that I won't name exactly because they're on the slide, but some cons to consider is that the first one that's actually not on here is that you are taking some time away from academics. You are taking some time away from that firsthand experience as a student. And so you could, lose momentum when returning to back to school, but it's not always the case. You could, brush up on material while you're taking your gap years. That way you don't totally lose that momentum. It can be difficult to maintain those relationships with your academic recommenders, but it is important to keep in contact with them, update them on your career status, and that will help you in your next step. Something I will recommend is finding some resources that will help you prepare for graduate school, even if you're not at a university or an institution designed to be a pre-graduate education institution. But there are plenty of resources out there, and you can use this time now to even meet with us as advisors to help you for your future application.
Thank you, Jillian. Those are great points to make. And after you think of all those questions Jillian just mentioned, and you decided you want to indeed pursue a grad program, then congrats. So now there are all these great tools to help you find what the right program is for you. So let's start from the top left, Peterson's. Serena, can you click on it, please? So this is the most general tools when you sort of know that what type of field you want to go in, but not exactly sure which program. You can use this tool to kind of help you narrow down to look at a field and see if you're interested. So if you are interested in anthropology, just assume that you are not sure if you want to pursue a master's or a PhD or where it is. And this is a great way to get started. You can sort of see how many programs are out there by filtering out, and here you can see there are 119, and then you can even choose on the left side there's like school sites and how much it costs, and also if you are bonded to a certain area, like some of you are from the West Coast or from here that wanted to stay close to home, this is a great way to directly see what are your options. And then so this is a general tool I would recommend to start with. And going back to the slide, there are also other tools out there. So for instance, Grad Track is a way to kind of help you even more narrow down what would be the right program for you after you use Peterson's to sort out a list. And this can really base down your stats, like your subjects, your GPA, and maybe even some test scores that you took, or even research years that you accumulated under your belt. This can really kind of if you're looking to make a list, including some safety school, some reach school, this might be a good tool for you. And the next one would be the US News and World Report. And this one is for different people or different type of degree, there are other things that might be of interest or important to you. So for certain thing like law school, we know ranking is more important than some other grad degrees. So here it's a pretty direct way to learn the current ranking of programs. And also this gives you a good general sense of what the acceptance rate is. So you know what whether this is a very competitive program. So you can kind of get a sense of how many programs you should put on your list. If you're applying to a bunch of school has 1% acceptance rate, you may want to think of expand the list to be more schools on that list. And then app fee and app deadline, this is a way if you're a spreadsheet person, this is a great tool to use. And lastly, this block, it's kind of showing the accrediting programs. So if you pursue social work or psychology or nursing, there are certain things to consider, such as getting licensed, and if you can directly practice after getting your degree. And this is a way to start early, especially if you know that you want to stay in a certain area or certain state. You can even directly start from these organizations to get their directory to see how many hours you may need, and from there to go match the program that can provide what you need. And then lastly, these other methods, So you could be networking with people and then learn from them which program they went to. The reputation is always like a very soft power tool to learn from people. And information sessions, you can register a lot of the casual information interviews with current students or alums when you go to a school's website. That's a pretty direct way to get a sense of a culture of a program or if they enjoy their experience there. And lastly, the guidebooks are pretty specific by programs. So for instance, I'm pursuing a clinical psych program, and I know for a lot of people doing clinical and counseling psychology, this was like the Bible when we were applying, because it does not only include just the school and the stats of the school, it also includes some specialty of each mentor. So if you're thinking of a research degree, this might be some good, just good books to have, so you can read through some keywords and think of where you would like to end up and who you want to work with. Can you advance to the next slide, Serena? Thank you. So now let's actually make your list of school. So here are the bubbles that I sort of thought of when I was applying. So depending on different type of program and what's more important to you, you may imagine these bubbles be bigger or smaller, depending on your liking, and move them around. So I started from thinking of the fitness between my interests and a program. This may be similar with Jillian, who's also doing a PhD program in psychology, because we are applying really to the mentor and the research instead of a school program. So this would be different if you're thinking of doing a program based, such as public health or social work, which is more practical. And then from there, I thought of the culture of the program, the diversity of the program, how many, since I'm international student, so I was interested in looking how many percentage of international students enter the program. And from there, the cost and the financial aid, because some programs could be fully funded and some programs will be partially funded. And what kind of assistantship, I think later on we'll touch on that topic a little more, but those are good information to just to know when you're making this list. So for instance, I dropped a school from my list because I saw that there was no funding at all from the school for 5 years. I know I couldn't afford it, so I didn't even bother to apply. And then from there, geographic location, which is also related to cost of living, so I put it on there. And then for career outcomes and alum data, as well as the learning opportunities, are pretty unique to each program. For certain things like law school, I realize people care a little more of the alum outcomes. And for some research type of program, it's more specific. So it may be a little hard to find these data. But it's always, if it's important to you, you should go to the school website, and sometimes they can have some testimonies or even like little stories on there that may give you more information. And possibly ranking is important in your field, not as much to some science STEM major. However, I know it could be very important for MBAs or for law school. And reputation of a school on the very right, that's sort of just making sure this is accreditation. It's like fully met the requirement going to the school. For instance, for a certain field like psychology, there are different types of accreditation. So if you want to practice as a clinician versus if you want to teach as a faculty, may require different things. So those are great information just to keep in mind when you're starting to make your specific list of schools.
Okay, so when it comes to actually applying, so you've got like your list of schools, you've decided that you want to go, and now it's come time to actually apply. So these are the components of a graduate school application, and some applications will have more, some will have less. They're pretty much all different, but the main parts of pretty much every application I've highlighted in bold here. And so you're pretty much always going to have a personal statement or statement of purpose, as well as a CV or resume. CV is typically for more like science programs in my experience, but sometimes even science programs will ask you for just a resume instead. And the difference between those is a resume is usually only like 1 page, and a CV can be longer and usually includes more experience on it. And then letters of recommendation that you'll typically ask for from professors or other like research mentors and things like that. but you could also ask, former bosses and stuff. And then your transcript, which will include the coursework that you've taken, because some programs do have certain courses that they require, so they want to see that you've taken those. And then it will also list your cumulative GPA. And then sometimes they do require a certain GPA for admission into the program. So that will be listed on the program's website. And then the standardized test, either the GRE or the GMAT. This largely depends on the program. And I know that there have been lots of studies that have shown that these don't really kind of show, they don't really mean anything. They don't really kind of predict success in graduate school. So a lot of programs now are getting rid of those. So definitely before you sign up for the test or before you start studying, look at your list of schools and make sure that you actually are required to submit those scores. Because if you're not, then don't take them. And then it depends on the type of program that you're applying to, but sometimes you might need to have a portfolio for maybe like an art program or a writing sample if you're going into like literature or creative writing or something. And then there also might be things like a research statement or like additional essays. And a lot of times on the form itself, like you'll have to submit your personal statement and your CV and everything and your transcript as attachments. But then the form itself will have like little boxes for you to fill in. And sometimes there can also be short answers on there. And then again, the application form may ask you about like different courses that you've taken or any lab work that you've done or anything like that. And then also, of course, there's always application fees. And these can be pretty expensive. I've seen ones that were like 50 to 75, but they could also be over 100. So definitely if that is an issue for you, make sure to reach out to one of the like kind of admissions people at your program, because sometimes there will be fee waivers for different things, like whether it's low income or if you've participated in a certain program. Like I did a few research experiences over the summer, and then those got me some like fee waivers. And so luckily I was able to get out of a lot of my application fees. And speaking of money, when it comes time to paying for graduate school, there are lots of different options, and there are also lots of different scenarios. So I know I'm in the life sciences and my program is fully funded. So I don't have to pay for tuition. My program covers tuition. They also have a health insurance option, and I also get a stipend every month. And I know that a lot of kind of sciences and life sciences also do this. So I have friends who are in graduate school for physics and for informatics, and they also had their programs fully funded and they got a stipend as well. But if that is not the way that it works in your field, there are scholarships and fellowships available. So Career One Stop is a good database to look at for these different scholarships and fellowships. So you can go over on the side and filter by graduate degree. And then you can also filter it by, where you live or where you're going to go to school, and then different award types and things like that. And then you can scroll through the results and it'll tell you like how much the funding is, when the deadline is. And if you click on like one of those scholarship things, it'll tell you a little bit more information about the type of scholarship, who's eligible, how to apply, and things like that. And so this is basically just like, for undergrad, if you apply to scholarships, there are also scholarships and fellowships available for graduate study. And like I said, there are, of course, stipends, and some programs are fully funded. And then other common ways of paying are graduate assistantships. So you might have to, take a job as like an assistant in one of the offices, like one of the graduate offices where you're going to school. There's also teaching assistantships where you teach, undergrad or graduate courses, and that's how you kind of get funded. And then there are research assistantships as well. So technically that is like the reason that I have full funding, is because I'm doing my graduate research, and that's like, I'm a research assistant. And so I get my funding through that. And then of course, there are also federal and private student loans. And if you're working full time, so say you're working full time and you're trying to get your master's on the side, you also might be eligible for tuition reimbursement through the company that you're working for. And of course, you could be a part-time student and work part-time, or have a paid internship through your program. So yeah, definitely make sure to reach out to the admissions department and see if there are any financial aid options, and then also talk to students at the programs that you're interested in. And also ask about like summer funding, because I know one of the other graduate advisors had mentioned that he is covered for the academic year, but then there was no summer funding. So he had to figure out kind of how he was going to basically live during the summer months. So yeah, definitely ask around, speak to current graduate students, see how their financial situation is, see, if they would advise you to, look at certain fellowships or certain programs or anything like that. And yeah, definitely always be thinking about the money.
Let me unmute myself. Thank you so much, Michaela, Yolanda, and Jillian. That was really helpful. Now we're going to go into everybody's favorite part of engagement. So we're going to have a breakout room activity. Myself and the other 3 advisors will also be in each breakout room. And we just want to get you guys talking about why you want to pursue graduate study, maybe also like what your future career goals look like. How will graduate study help lead you there? If you feel comfortable, please have your camera on just to make the activity more engaging. And definitely your microphone on, obviously, when you talk. We'll only do this for about 10 minutes. So let me go ahead and get the breakout rooms. Let's see. Okay, awesome. So I'll go ahead and make 4 breakout rooms. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think there's 37. And then where is Jillian? Okay. So the first breakout room will be with Jillian. And then the second breakout room will be with Michaela. And then the third breakout room will be with Yolanda. Oh, okay. I don't know how I'm supposed to join a breakout room. Okay. Okay, let me.
If I make it, I think I can assign you.
Okay.
That might work.
Awesome. Okay, let me exit out of this real quick. Thanks, Cara.
How many did you want again?
Just 4 breakout rooms, and then Jillian in 1, Yolanda, Michaela, and then myself. So I think there'd be 6 students per breakout room. Just a side note, this is also helpful for like when you're writing personal statements. A lot of times the graduate program is going to want to know like why this graduate program, how is it going to help with your future career goals? So this is a helpful activity for you to just start articulating that as well.
Okay, so I just made 4, and then when I was looking at it, it's easier if I just let everyone just choose their room instead of assigning everyone to a room. So okay. Okay.
Okay. I think everyone's just joining. Hopefully this works.
Hopefully. But I can also move people. So
Okay. I just wanted to make sure there was 1 advisor per room. I think I see that. Okay. I'm in room 4.
and when do you want me to close them? Well,
I have a question.
Yes.
Do any of y'all know how we get counted for this as a Hill Life experience?
Oh, this is the same group. You're gonna have to ask when everybody gets back. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Awesome. I think we're just waiting on one more group. So thank you all for participating in that. Okay, cool. I think we have everyone back. Like I said, a lot of times in personal statements for graduate school, they may ask you like why this program, how is it going to assist with your future career goals? So it is helpful to articulate that. Sometimes I meet with pre-grad students and they just think they want to go to grad school because it's the next step for them, but they can't really articulate reasons why they want to go to graduate school. So it's very, very important that you do that exploration to research, is this program the best fit for me? What kind of career can this program lead to? So we have about 20 minutes left, and I do have some reminders at the end about like upcoming events and everything. So I just wanted to do a quick Q&A with the graduate advisors. So I'll just ask each advisor or two advisors a question on here. So let me change this to view slideshow. So I'll start with Yolanda. How has graduate school been different from undergraduate?
Thank you, Serena. I think a big difference is how unstructured it is in grad school compared to undergrad. So undergrad is really focused on your class, and you have very clear standard of whether you're doing well or not by your letter grade and your GPA. But grad school is a lot more surrounded by how you build your schedule with your research, with your direct career goal, and with your either internship or some other things that you're like investing in to directly prepare for your job. So it's a lot of not autonomy. It's truly like adulting. It's a type of job rather than a type of student life.
Thank you. We'll go on to the next question for time. Let's see, I think there's one person in the waiting room. Okay. Let's see, I will ask Jillian, what factors help you decide that the program you are in was the right fit for you?
That's a great question. Part of my basic science work, though, is kind of what Yolanda mentioned earlier, is that fit with my advisor, with the research interests that I decided to pursue. Something else that's interesting about my program in particular is that it is a neuroscience program, but it's within a psychology department. So it gives me access to a different side of neuroscience that is not typical in a basic neuroscience field. And I think it's just super interesting, and I kind of ranted about this in my breakout room too, is that part of the program too is that it brings a lot of resources that I really liked. Specifically, we study addiction science, so that was an advantage when joining my particular program. But there are plenty of other factors to consider when thinking about specific programs.
Awesome, thank you, Jillian. Michaela, what skills do you recommend that undergraduate students develop now in order to help them succeed in graduate school?
So definitely time management, because like Yolanda said, it's very kind of unstructured, and you don't really have, there are deadlines, but they're oftentimes pretty loose. And so like you kind of have to drive like what you're doing for that day and that week, and what your goals are. And I don't know if this is really something that you can develop, but I guess kind of motivation, because in the same sense, like, because it's pretty much up to you what you do every day, a lot of that kind of drive has to come from within yourself. And I know that was a big struggle for me when I first got here, because I came in 2020. And so like I was never leaving my apartment, and it was like pretty hard to get work done. So definitely kind of, and I think that helps once you know like why, if you have a clear why of why you're going to grad school, that will definitely help you kind of like be motivated throughout.
Thank you, Michaela. Yolanda, do you have any advice for the application process?
Oh, that's a great question. It's very broad, but for me, I guess the one thing I'm thinking of is to make a timeline for yourself backwards. So everyone have very different working style. So maybe think of the day that you hope you start your new program, and then from there work backwards to see how long it would take you to do each task. I have learned that just by asking others, it's very informative to see when others started preparing, but since everyone has such different styles, you may realize you need much more time or much less time to prepare. So even if you're just a freshman, then you can start thinking backwards, like what are things that I can start doing now, versus if you're a senior. So that's like a quick way to space out and really structure your planning.
Thank you, Yolanda. And then Michaela or Jillian, is there anything you wish you had known about grad school before you decided to apply or start your program that you'd want to share?
I'll mention just something real quick. Grad school is filled with a lot of highs and lows. It is very challenging, but it's also very rewarding because you are the one actively doing the work. You're the one contributing to whatever field you decide to enter. And it's very, very exciting. It's very exciting to be a grad student and start this journey.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Jillian. Michaela, is there anything you want to add? Okay, cool. Thank you guys so much. Like Yolanda was talking about, the building the timeline piece is super helpful. And that's something that we do in pre-grad advising appointments, especially if you're in that exploration phase, is just talking to you about a timeline. Does it make more sense to take gap years, and what are the pros and cons of that for you individually? So I'll go into like how to make an appointment as well. Okay, so we are here to assist you in your pre-graduate school journey. Like I mentioned earlier, we have those application support and exploration appointments. So here is the QR code. I can also put this in the chat for everyone. So it'll take you to the information to make an appointment. And so we use Handshake for virtual appointments, which will be similar to Zoom. And then we also have some in-person appointments in Haynes Hall. We're located on the second floor. So whether you're in that exploration phase or in the application phase, we are here to help you. The advisors will have appointments until November 30th this semester, and so until the last day of classes. So some upcoming events are, so you want to take a gap year. Typically, like in the springtime when we had this workshop, we talked about gap year opportunities, but now there is a whole workshop dedicated to ideas for a gap year, and that will be led by an assistant director of career coaching. So if you'd like to attend that, Yolanda has to leave, but thank you so much, Yolanda, for all your help. Awesome.
I have a question.
Oh, yes, Kaylee.
How do we get this counted as a Hill Life experience?
Yeah, that's a good question. Kara, are you able to help with that answer?
Yeah, so typically when the attendance is uploaded, eventually within Hill Life, it'll be connected. So it'll get connected. It just has to take some time with technology, but it'll be
So
uploaded.
as long as I'm on here, like it counts, basically.
Yes, because you're on the attendance list and then it'll all be uploaded.
All right, thank you so much.
Awesome. No worries, Kaylee. Yeah, I think, okay, cool. We have that question answered. So there will be a virtual workshop next Wednesday, October 12th. If you can't make it at 1:30 to 2:30, okay. If you can't make it from 1:30 to 2:30, that will be recorded. And so this workshop is being recorded as well, and it'll be uploaded on our website just within a few days. And then I did want to bring to your attention that there is a graduate law and professional school fair. So there are right now 100 schools that are registered. I will say a lot of them are law schools, but there are other graduate and professional schools attending. So just look at the fair. This is the link for it, or you can scan the QR code. It's from 12 to 6 Eastern time. You don't have to attend the whole time on November 2nd. You can just pick an hour. A lot of the schools will either have group sessions or they'll have the individual sessions. So this is a great networking opportunity for you. It's an opportunity to learn more information about a graduate program you might be interested in. So definitely just take the time to see if there's any programs you're interested in. And registration just opened on the 3rd. So registration will be open for students within the schools that are helping represent the fair. And so there's 4 schools that are doing that. So you guys get first pick on the sessions before it opens up to all students within North Carolina towards the end of the month. So definitely register if you'd like to just network with admissions representatives. Does anyone have any questions? Feel free to post in the chat, or you can unmute, whatever you're comfortable with. Myself and Jillian and Michaela are still here to assist, just in case you have any questions for us pertaining to graduate school or university career services. Okay, so just a reminder, we have those pre-grad school appointments. So feel free to go on to Handshake and schedule one. Even if you're just thinking about graduate school and you're not really sure where to start, and you want to talk more about those like self-assessments as far as exploring your interests or just asking questions about how to network. Or if you're in the application support phase, we do help review statements of purpose or personal statements or your resume or CV for graduate school. So that's something we can assist with as well, as long as it is a pre-graduate program. I talked a little bit in the breakout room I had with pre-health professions. If you are pursuing medical or dental or any other health profession, you will want to go to the HPA, I think it's hpa.unc.edu website, which is the Health Professions Advising Office. And they do have a volunteer faculty advisor. So you can go to the schedule appointment button on there and see how to make an appointment. I highly recommend joining the listserv for them as well, because they will send out events like thinking about dental school or thinking about medical school, and they have those bigger information sessions that are under their office. So just something to consider as well. So lastly, we do have a workshop survey. So Kara will put this in the chat. We just want to know how we did and what your feedback was. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys, and we covered a lot of questions that you have. And we hope to see you guys in future pre-grad appointments as well. So this is the workshop QR code for the survey, and then Cara also put the link in the chat. So please just take a few minutes to fill out the survey. So we have data and can make adjustments to Grad School 101 if we need to in the future. A reminder that gap year workshop, it will be next week virtual on the 12th at 1:30. So yeah, that's all we have. Thank you guys so much. I'll stop sharing my screen. Does anyone have any last minute questions or anything they'd like to add?